Right, ahead of the Africa Mining Indaba, which starts on the 9th of May, which is this coming Monday. Let's get into conversation with Dineo Peta. She's a mining and environmental lawyer at Peta Attorneys, and we're speaking particularly in the area of transformation for women in the sector. Thank you very much, Dineo, for joining us. Just give us a sense of your observations as a lawyer around the kind of transformation that you're seeing in the mining sector, not just here in South Africa, but in the continent as a whole.
I think across the globe, transformation has been pretty slow. If there is a transformation, you see it at the far lower levels, at junior and middle management, as opposed to what we'd like to see in executive management, and also in terms of women-owned businesses and their ability to be able to receive business opportunities and grow within industries. A further challenge is the rights of workers, women-owned workers. I think we need to appreciate that by virtue of our genetical composition, women are different. And being different, we require certain accommodation in terms of our operations and being operational. And I think we need to move greater in that regard, specifically also at leadership level.
Just paint us a picture of the kind of work that you do as a lawyer to help in the work of transformation, specifically for women.
So we do regulatory compliance advisory, and we also do, and that extends to compliance to the Mineral and Petroleum Resources Development Act. In that regard, a mining right holder must have a social and labor plan. And one of the elements of a social and labor plan is human resources development. Within that, there's a component to ensure that within employment equity, there is advancement of women. On the mining charter side, on the inclusive procurement and supply development side, there's a sub-element for that for services, which requires that mining companies empower women-owned companies. So we assist companies to be able to comply with the relevant provisions of the Mineral and Petroleum Resources Development Act and also the Mining Charter. Outside of that, we also advise on Black economic empowerment, compliance and advisory, and also commercial transactions advisory as it relates to Black economic transactions. And
what areas in the mining sector do you find that women have an appetite to work in?
Do you know, what I've seen, and quite impressively, is we've seen a lot of Black female mining engineers. And the numbers haven't, the numbers keep growing. Unfortunately, industry is not hiring at the rate it used to hire, but there remains a great appetite for the hardcore business side of mining, and that's on the mining engineering side.
Now, you're going to be attending the Mining Indaba next week. What are some of the networks that you're hoping to achieve? What do you hope will be the outcome from your perspective?
So there are a number of issues. I think last year, President Cyril Ramaphosa signed a multilateral agreement which seeks to reduce our reliance on the usage of fossil fuels. It would be interesting to see how that is going to translate in an economy such as South Africa that is so highly dependent on coal and is also a major producer of coal. But with that, we welcome decarbonization of the industry. I think the recent floods within KZN have reminded us of the harsh realities of climate change and what is of necessity to meet and to adapt to climate change, and of critical to the mining industry that is so highly dependent on energy. It would be great to understand and to know, what impact such bilateral agreements are going to have in South Africa achieving a just transition, specifically in the mining industry.
Yeah, and specifically on the issue of just transition, which, has been spoken about so much. What are your views about that process? Because it is quite a subjective one, because obviously you need to ensure that everyone everyone is on board, that as jobs are displaced, new jobs are created, etc., etc. How do you think South Africa should go about in that process? It's not even a legal question. It's really about the practice, the fact that we are so heavily endowed with coal, etc., etc.
So the reality is, or subjectively speaking, we require an energy mix. We cannot be reliant on one single source of energy. And in accordance with the Integrated Resource Plan, we need to source our energy from different sources. And this needs to be, like the topic, a just transition. We cannot overnight just switch to renewable energy sources. It has to be over a period of time and in a manner that seeks to achieve the objectives of sustainable development, to ensure that as we move to other alternative and renewable energy sources, we are able to still secure jobs. We are able to do so while advancing and ensuring that the economy can cope with such a transition.
Dineo, we'll see you at the Mining Indaba. Thank you very much for your time. That was Dineo Peta. She's a mining and environmental lawyer at Peta.